every day is Heroes Day.
If you want it to be a Heroes Day.
All you have to do is believe.
The real Heroes Day was inside us the whole time.
All
You
time
just have
indeed.
to poke it and awaken it.
So, anyways, greeting everybody. This is Stormy with the capital Z, and welcome to the Capital Z Hour podcast. Today I am with Bengalis's Galato, who is also known as Comrade, Independent Gronky, Osking, Eknek, and the British Empire, General O'Hara. You guys don't want to say anything, really? I named like 8 people. I named like 8 people here.
For the record, if anyone asked, I didn't murder those children.
Are we allowed to say
my
that we're
God.
trapped in his basement or not?
Well, you're allowed to be PG-13 as long as you're PG-13. Everything's a-okay at the Capital Z Hour. Anyways, so today's topic is video game sequels. So
Which means
Warcraft Reforged.
no, not
Yes,
that.
Reforged.
Shame on you! How dare you mention that filth on this holy hour of the Capital Z? Oh, hey, Halfling's on the stream, and he just referred to betrayal. Hey, Halfling, we found your clone. Or duplicate, or...
Halfling's not here.
Halfling is on the stream.
He's hopefully
Wait,
watching.
He's watching the stream. Well, maybe he's not. He
He's
just came
always
by to say
watching.
betrayal. We found your duplicate. You should join the voice chat to talk to him, I guess. Anyways, without wasting too much of time, I'd like to go over what we're going to be talking about today. So, we're going to be talking about video game sequels today. Now, that's not remastered, as you guys pointed out to Reforged
But
earlier.
Reforged, it's Reforged, it's not.
Oh, that's my favorite game, definitely. I really
So
like
yeah,
it.
we're not
It
going to be
makes me
talking about remasters and remakes. We're going to be talking about sequels. Sequels can be referred to as the next game in the series.
What about prequels?
Even prequels will be considered as sequels in this particular topic. And any type of... I guess you could also include some spin-offs, which kind of follow the same thing over there, but aren't really following the same storyline. So, what defines...
So like Portal and Half-Life.
That's...
It's confirmed that they are in the same universe, but they don't follow the same story.
Well, that's a bit far-fetched, since they can't be considered as sequels, and...
You said spin-off.
Well... No, okay, I take it back. We're not covering spin-offs as per Osking's. Well, anyways, we're not covering that kind of spin-offs over here. So
Why not? I like Portal. Never played Half-Life though.
The
sure,
Portal is pretty nice.
give Portal a go sometime. So today's topic is all about sequels, as in how video game sequels are developed, what makes a good sequel, and stuff like that. And Halfling just referred Assassin's Creed. Well, I haven't played a single Assassin's Creed game yet.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Did somebody mention Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, Halfling just said that on the stream chat.
Should we start with that one?
I haven't... Well, here's the thing.
Everything after Assassin's Creed 4 is trash.
Well, since I haven't played a single one of the Assassin's Creed's games, so I won't exactly be able to put my point in over here
Contribute.
and talk.
Oh,
Yeah,
get
contribute to
prepared
it.
for a
But-
nice journey, my friend.
But of course, I'll be giving the stage to you guys as well, so you guys can basically talk about the same thing that I'm talking about.
I
So-
completely agree with you.
Of course, you do. So, the game that I thought about bringing in and using as the example for a good sequel over here, the game
Warcraft
that
3.
Forged? Did
Well-
someone say Reforged?
So the game that I actually thought about, and the game that I'm going to be bringing in is from the Warcraft series, but it's not Warcraft 3.
Aw.
No.
So, without further ado, let's talk about today's main game over here, which is going to be Warcraft 1 and 2. Let me just put down their screenshots.
Actually,
on
I
the
haven't
stream.
played both of them.
I
Well,
have played 2, but I haven't played 1 a lot. I played it a bit.
Well,
I
since
don't think I went through the entirety.
Well,
but
since you haven't done that, I guess you guys can have an insight on what these two games are about and how the sequel exactly, became a sequel there. What are the upgrades that you get in a sequel? Now, when you come up with a sequel, well, basically when any company is making a sequel to their game, there's, as in the audience, expect something better. They want something that carries on forward with the original stuff there, something that has the essence of the game, the core, not exactly getting the word there,
The feel of the original game, the atmosphere.
Atmosphere, there's another word I'm looking for exactly. I would say the basics, the core basics of the original game. As in, there are some things that they're just not broken and they're just best left that way. Never a good idea
Fundamental rules.
fundamental rules of a game. So
it depends how broken.
how broken, of course. So the
Well,
game, so the game I
go
want
for it, go for it.
Yeah, okay. So the game that I want to talk about today is Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. And, well, I'm gonna putting up their, I think this is the CD cover. Yeah, I'm gonna put up their CD covers right here before we begin. You guys can have a look at that stuff. So for the guys that haven't played either of the games, these were one of the really, really early RTS games all time. Of course, they're not the first one. The first one was, I believe, Dune 2, and that kind of followed up into these games. The basic core elements of those games carried forward. Warcraft 1 was the fantasy game, and that's where everything started. Medieval strategy, where you have the humans, the world of Azeroth that got invaded by the orcs. That was the main basic storyline there, and after that you can just mix it in anything you want. So I'm gonna putting down some screenshots over here and listing some features that were available in Warcraft 2 and how Blizzard updated it, or rather upgraded it upon those features in Warcraft 2. So I'm putting down two screenshots right now. One screenshot is of wait a moment, I think I should put down this one first. Okay, so this is the main menu. Yeah, we should actually put down the main menu first. Place this.
These golden hours of PC, quit to DOS.
Quit to DOS, of course. Golden hours of PC. So that was Warcraft 1's main menu. This is Warcraft 2's main menu. Just put this up on the stream and I'll start talking about it in a bit. Resolution seems to be really bad here. This should work out. There we go. Got it exactly where I wanted. So, Warcraft 1 was like a really old school game. As you can see, options are super limited. First option is start a new game. Within that option, you had the option to go for the campaign, the orc campaign or the human campaign. Apart from that, you had the skirmish. You had multiplayer in Warcraft 1, believe it or not. multiplayer.
Seriously?
Yes, Warcraft 1, despite of
Nice.
how old this was, I believe it had the multiplayer through LAN, and I believe that service or that method was known as IPX contact back then. Well, I guess internet just wasn't all that popular. Second option is load existing game, which is basically just a load option for your saved game. Third is replay introduction. That's just replaying the introduction that starts, when you launch the game. That's just it. Last one is of course quit to DOS. Now, having a look at the second screenshot there, that's the main menu for Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness. Single player, multiplayer, replay introduction, that's the same thing. Show credits, that's where the credits were born, I guess. Exit to program. So that's how they upgraded upon it. So we're going to talk about the features of Warcraft 1 first, and then talk about how they upgraded on those features in Warcraft 2. Warcraft 1 was a pretty super basic RTS game. It was really nothing too fancy about it, but back in the days it was something new and something that would intrigue your interest. Having a look at a screen like this was not a common thing for PC gamers, and for the guys that actually got into it, they got hooked. So I'm gonna put down the screenshot of Warcraft 1. This is a screenshot from Warcraft 1. Maximize this a bit, and we're going to talk about this for a bit now. So if you have a look at the entire interface, this was how the classic, or rather retro RTS used to look like. You had the command card at the left side instead of having it at the bottom as we do these days. You had the minimap on the top there. You had a small portrait, a small HP bar, the name of the unit, move command, stop command, and attack command there. Main menu at the bottom left. On the top center you had the resources mentioned, but you don't have the number of supply mentioned, the food count. You don't have that mentioned, so you had to go back to your farm to look at how much food you had, if I'm not mistaken, because I haven't played Warcraft 1 since a long time, so I wouldn't really know about that. I wouldn't exactly be able to confirm that yet. So Warcraft 1 was as basic as possible. Like those units over there that you see on the screen, you couldn't right click and move them. You could only select maximum 4 units at once, not more than 4 units.
And there were no control groups.
You had no control groups. You could not right click to move them. They had auto attack. Thankfully auto attack was a thing. Like if your units were being attacked, he wouldn't just stand there and die. He would actually attack back whatever is trying to attack it, or whatever is nearby to it. So if you wanted to move your footmen or your peasants, you had to click on M, or you had to click on the move button and then move them. If you wanted them to attack similarly, you had to click on the attack button, the sword icon over there, sword button on the command card, and attack with that. Otherwise, there just wasn't a way to do it in Warcraft 1. Warcraft 1 also had a thing going on over there. If you see those roads around the buildings,
Yes.
yes,
To build buildings, you actually had to have a road connection.
yes.
So you had to build the roads to expand your base, and you can build buildings only next to a road.
Well,
Which is interesting mechanic. Actually, I like that.
Yeah,
They should have kept it in Warcraft 2, in my opinion. I actually like that.
yeah, it was kind of a cool feature there.
It can look more medieval-ish than it currently is. It would give it a better feeling. You can't just expand everywhere. But yes, I see a reason why it's removed. It changes the pace of the game, and generally how the game plays later on. You cannot have, let's say, proxy bases. You cannot have expansions with that system. I mean, you technically can, but you would have to build a road from one side of the map to the other where the gold mine is, and that's pretty annoying.
Well,
Considering that you have to pay to make roads as well. Small amount, but yeah.
Well, what I do remember though, as far as Warcraft 1 was concerned, I believe you could have put down town halls without access to roads, and if you had to expand, I guess you could just put down the town hall and that'll be your basic building.
So it's kind of like the undead right now in Warcraft.
Somewhat, yes.
Well, you could kind of connect it to the undead, I guess, but of course, undead have the blight, which is it's basically just covering the entire ground around it instead of just having a pathway, which are the roads, and the roads don't come up automatically. You had to build the roads using
Because,
your yes.
Beach, it was cheap, but 10 road tiles is 100 gold, and
Yep.
it can be an issue sometimes.
Can be an issue. You can also construct walls in Warcraft
And
1.
it's just something you have to save and spend your money on, rather than, let's say, building a unit, or a peasant, or a building.
Yep. So Warcraft 1, you had to construct roads. You had the access to make walls. Walls was a thing in Warcraft 1, which sadly never came back in the Warcraft series later on, but it did have its adaptation in other RTS games like Age of Empires.
Red Alert.
Yeah, Red Alert as well, I guess. I haven't played Red Alert, so I won't be able to say that.
Oh my god, it used to be one of my favorite RTS back in the days. What?
So,
I still play Red Alert sometimes. Red Alert 3.
Yeah, third one kind of sucked, to be honest. Second is the best, obviously. I guess not obviously.
obviously. So, I'm gonna put down... I guess I found something that can be that we can relate to over here while we're talking about this whole thing. There it is. Where is it? There it is.
So I mean, as a person who didn't play Warcraft at all, like Gronky introduced me to Warcraft 3 around a couple of months ago, I guess. I played it a bit. Honestly, it's a nice game, but it's not something I would play because, as he said, I don't feel such a nostalgia because I didn't play it as much when I was younger. So I don't feel that like special connection to the game.
Used to
But I mean,
spend hours on it.
Yes,
yeah, I know.
we grow up and we can revisit it, but now, if I was to play Warcraft 1, I probably wouldn't reach the end.
I mean, it's probably again, this is a view as a person who didn't play it. I guess it's probably like slower paced, and the commands were kind of wonky. It wasn't really constructed that well. Well, not that well, but wasn't really constructed fully because, you know, people, I guess, more played Warcraft 3 than 1 or 2, because I remember still going to the internet cafes with friends and people would play Warcraft 3 while I would play like Counter-Strike 1.6 and stuff. But honestly, I've seen so many people play it and I still didn't know how to play. I wasn't even trying to like get into it. But I mean, honestly, it's a nice franchise. Like, I'm getting more and more into the story in general because I started playing World of Warcraft. So Gronky again told me that it started like from Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. Then I just went back and looked at the story.
It's nice.
Well, I got this one correct. About the pace of the game, Warcraft 3, you are right, it's slower paced, but Warcraft 1 and 2 are actually much faster paced, despite not looking like it. Let's say Footmans and Grunts in Warcraft 1. They had like 40 HP each with 10 basic attack. They had the same stats, I think.
Yep.
Die in
Yeah, that's another thing going back there.
Like, They die
Dead.
quickly. It's like, imagine playing StarCraft 1 and micring Zerglings. That was the feeling in Warcraft 1. And you didn't have control groups, and you can select up to 4 units. So imagine having 20 footmen. It's a nightmare to control.
Yeah, good luck having trying to save
Yes.
that.
And imagine
That's a question.
having multiple units with spells, like you gotta micro some spells, more units, cavalry, slower, faster archers, all of that, and with only being able to select 4 without control groups. That was Warcraft 1. It was harsh.
It was very hard.
Harsh
yes.
and hard.
Very hard. So,
Just a question.
Mhm.
When was Warcraft 1 released? Because I see it's on it's on DOS. So
yeah,
when was it
1994.
released exactly?
let's have a look at
Nine-
it now.
I believe 1 was 1994 and Warcraft 2 1998.
Oh, there
7
we
or
go.
8.
It's literally from
No.
the 90s. It's literally what the 90s
Oh.
kid would play.
I mean, yes, at the time PC gaming
There was
was.
a 2 years apart between 1 and 2, right?
Okay, so then it is 1996. But at the time, this was new. The PC gaming was literally born at this time with Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, and all other titles.
Yes.
RTS were new. Like,
RTS
everything was new, so you can't blame them for not having ideas. They basically have to come up with one, and it was a pretty well done one.
Yeah,
As it-
start from scratch.
Warcraft still lives to this day, and it was born from this. So yeah, they actually did a good job.
Yeah,
And
they,
most people were actually playing at consoles at the time, thinking PC was too underpowered, not designed for games, which they were right. Up until Doom came out and proved everybody wrong.
PC race. Yes.
PC Master Race indeed. So, coming back to Warcraft 1, the features that I want to go over here now for Warcraft 1. We have a look at the tech tree over here. Something similar to what Gronky mentioned earlier. Basically, both of the races inside the game, orcs and humans, were mirrors of each other, and
Yes,
it
same
was just a reskin. Like they were two races with a reskin, but they had literally all the same stats, of course. The grunt was the footman, just in a new skin. The archer was a spearman.
like mages, they were different, but yeah. Troll Headhunter was Elven Archer, basically same unit with a different
Well,
name.
that was Warcraft 2. We're talking about Warcraft 1 right now.
Ogres in Warcraft 2.
Yeah.
Warcraft 2 kind of returned that. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing with
Not really.
more or less
actually.
units and a bit different playstyle.
Well, Warcraft 1 actually had pure humans and pure orcs only when it comes to the army. And
Yes.
when it comes to Warcraft 2, they added on trolls, ogres,
trolls,
elves,
Knights, they were
dwarfs.
actually part of the orcs. Yeah,
Yeah.
dwarves,
Yeah,
everything.
all of that got added.
Basically, Garrosh Hellscream would be proud of Warcraft 1. Mhm.
Oh, wow. A reference that I never thought about myself. Only pure-blooded orcs.
True horde.
The true horde.
Only green skin.
Only green skins, yes.
Yes.
So yeah, the footmen were the grunts, the spearmen were the archers, the knights were the raiders, and the catapults were just catapults. We didn't have the ballistas in Warcraft 1. The
Later on,
upgrades...
Warcraft 2, the raiders would become ogres.
Yeah, we didn't have raiders in Warcraft 2, sadly, but raiders make a return in Warcraft 3. So the only difference between both of the races, the only difference as far as the non-reskin thing goes around, would be the spellcasters. Warcraft 1 had 2 spellcasters for each of the race. Well, there are just 2 races over there, of course, to talk about. One was the wizard, and the other one was the conjurer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the conjure was pretty OP.
Conjure healed, and the mage had spells and stuff that you can research at one of the mage. It wasn't called a mage tower, it was called something else, wizard tower or something, I guess. Yeah.
And it was pretty OP. Like, that mage had invisibility ability, so you could make 4 knights, let's say, invisible, and send them to destroy your enemy army while they have no idea what is attacking them. And you couldn't really detect them until the spell expires.
Yeah, and right. You couldn't attack the invisible units. Yeah, they were like the StarCraft invisible units, like Dark Templars.
And when you were playing orcs, that would be really frustrating, dying to an unseen force.
Yeah, that was the thing there. All of your military units were made at the barracks. The other buildings that you had, like, the other stuff, they were only like the, what do you call it? The research building?
Yeah, similar to Warcraft 1 or 2 are actually closer to StarCraft 1 rather than Warcraft 3.
Yes.
Because it's like Zerg from StarCraft. You build everything from the larva to hatchery, and you need other buildings to unlock specific unit. That was kind of Warcraft 1. 2 was a bit different, but yet the same. But
Also like Red Alert.
Yeah. It was closer to StarCraft rather than Warcraft 3.
Yeah, it was far much closer to StarCraft than Warcraft 3.
Or Red Alert.
Well, can't really say much about Red Alert, I guess.
I haven't played it much, but if you say so.
If you say so.
It's kind of like that. Like, you build your units at one tab, and to unlock units, you just build buildings. You don't build the units from the buildings.
Then, yeah.
Or am I thinking of generals? I might be thinking of generals.
So yeah, Warcraft 1 basically had, well, let's count down the features that Warcraft 1 had. I already explained all about the interface and everything that it looked up, the tech tree, basically being a reskin amongst both races, and the only difference that you had were the spells among the spellcasters, the 2 spellcasters that each race had. And so the feature that Warcraft 1 had was, of course, single player campaign, orc and human, skirmish, multiplayer. You had online LAN feature and IPX contact thing that was a basic internet service back in those days. And that was pretty much it. And that was still, it was a lot of content there. And the skirmish actually had an interesting thing over there, like it didn't have a map editor. Warcraft 1 did not have a map editor, but it did have an option while going into a skirmish. You could actually put down the number of units that you wanted from the start of the game. Like if you wanted like 4 footmen right at the start of the game, you could actually have it. You could actually put it up over there. There was a number, there was a button over there that enabled something like that. And there was another feature that Warcraft 1 actually had back in those days, which was a pretty fun feature. I'm pretty sure the people that played, like Gronky, must be aware about this one. I just put up a screenshot of that. So this is the dungeon crawler of Warcraft 1. Believe it or not, Warcraft 1 actually had dungeon crawler maps where you had
to kill an orc woman, Griselda, was that her name?
No.
You hear that in the briefing, I forgot.
Well, that was probably from the campaign. The one that I'm referring...
Yes, from the campaign.
Yeah, so the one that I'm referring is a randomly generated... Well, it's not randomly generated. I guess it's randomly selected from a number of dungeons. So you basically had these big dungeon maps where you'll be landed at one corner. Of course, you could select the number of units that you wanted. You can have like 5 knights, you can have 5 archers, etc, or whatever you want. And you basically had to do was lurk around the entire map like an RPG, kill the NPCs. Well, not the NPCs, these are the hostile neutrals, which aren't necessarily a part of the horde. You had the ogres over here. This was the first place where ogres were a part of the Warcraft series. You had slimes and I guess bandits were also there somewhere. So you had to kill these things and you had to make your way towards the exit. And once you reach the exit, it's mission accomplished. And that was a pretty cool feature for an RTS game. It was not something that a lot of games came up with. And
game mode.
Sorry?
Game mode, basically, pretty much.
What game mode? Sorry.
Well, you could have traditional RTS, building buildings, units, army, and all that, or you can have this entire different experience with dungeon crawling when you have limited resources and you have to work your way through the.
Well, that's the fun thing. You don't have resources at all. You just have units, and you can just select the units at the start of the game. That's it. It was interesting. It was fun. So yeah, that was Warcraft 1, and that was pretty much all the features as far as Warcraft 1 was concerned. Now, we're gonna be taking the step ahead, and now we shall talk about Warcraft 2.
Yeah, I haven't played Warcraft 2.
Where should we begin with this one? There's a lot to this one.
Well, there is indeed a lot to cover. Well, if you come back to the main menu, I've already talked about what it had: single player, multiplayer, and well, that goes around with it. And oh hey, Knight the Caveman is here.
Hello?
There you are, Knight.
What are we talking about?
Talking about sequels.
Warcraft.
No, we're not
Warcraft.
talking about Reforged. We are not talking
Before
about
we
Reforged.
let's reach Reforged.
We are not talking about Reforged.
We are not talking about
Yes, we are not talking about Reforged. That's how we begin the conversation, so that everything remains intact and in one piece.
disclosed.
In one piece. So, coming to Warcraft 2, let's talk about how Warcraft 2 upgraded from where Warcraft 1 picked up. Warcraft 1, old school RTS, had introduced, well, it
Ancient dinosaur.
dinosaur. Yeah, had some good references there, Knight. Yeah, I'm gonna first put down these screenshots in a way that I can see them together in one screen. Yeah, that works out, I guess. So the left side is
So,
Warcraft.
are we just talking about the sequels of Warcraft, or?
Not really. We're talking about
Well,
how...
considering how long this took, yes.
Well, I guess. So, coming back to the topic there, Warcraft 1 and the upgrade to Warcraft 2, you still had the same interface. Look at the interface there. Command card at the left side, map at the top left. The main menu got shifted to the top, of course. A slight small thing there. So, now we have stats. But right below the unit portrait, we now have the number of hit points the units have, the number of hit points the units has remaining, the armor, the damage, range, the sight, the speed, and the magic is of course for the units that can cast spells. It's not with all of the units. So
Magic
this-
is mana, as you can guess.
Yes. Mana was called magic.
Mana was called magic, but yeah, Mana actually had another thing going on over there. So the Death Knights and the mages in Warcraft 2 basically had to spend mana each time they attacked. All of their attacks cost mana. Like, so if they're just auto attacking, yes, the basic attack, the auto attacks cost mana. So if they're out of mana, they can't attack.
That is
Yeah,
a
that
very
was
stupid-
Scientific breakthrough.
scientific breakthrough. That was actually a thing there. It worked. Yeah, scientific breakthrough in Warcraft 3. They no longer required mana to attack the basic.
There's also, if you look closer to the resource screen, you can actually notice a third resource, the oil.
So yes.
A new change that got removed in Warcraft 3.
I know. I remember my cousin telling me about that, and I was like, "Wait, why would they remove a feature instead of adding a feature in a new game?" And he was like, "I don't know."
Strange.
Well, we can talk about.
You could make a shipyard. Like in Warcraft 3, shipyards are like neutral and you can hire ships. Here you can build it and you actually need oil to build ships. So you could build a special ship that holds the oil.
So
And that was the big change. And you
Did
needed
someone
oil for
say
most of the
oil?
oil.
time. Oil, man!
Yeah.
As I said, I know my cousin told me about this feature. He actually played Warcraft 2, and I remember being so perplexed. Like, why would you remove a full feature when you make a new game.
Reforged. Oh, okay, no. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
That's
Same
taboo.
problem. Literally the
That's-
same problem.
Taboo subject.
Why the naval combat in this game was usually annoying and micromanaging everything into ships and out of ships and worrying about the third resource. And the island maps, they were not fun to play at all. They were like campaign maps where you were on an island and you kind of had to migrate non-stop as you did not have much resources to work with. And that's pretty annoying. It's not fun.
Yeah.
At
you
least
can
to me,
balance
so
that
I
idea.
see why it got removed. This type of game, it just doesn't need it. Warcraft
No,
3
the thing is-
secret system was perfect.
Why are there two people talking at the same time?
Yeah,
That's
good question. We should actually give the stage to each guy that wants to speak a bit about it.
You can balance the idea of ships around it, not remove it.
Well, you're right.
Okay, now let's talk. Let me just quickly cover up some things that Warcraft 2 introduced that Warcraft 1 didn't have there. So Warcraft 1, pretty basic RTS game. Well, as in it was one of the very
Yeah, I heard that.
very old school, very first RTS games out there.
Faster!
Oh, faster! Wow! Okay, so you had ground units, you had range units, you had spellcasters, you had power units like the Knights. You had a dungeon crawl feature and yeah, stuff that went around with it. So now we're going to talk about how Warcraft 2 updated upon all of that. Warcraft 2 has ships. You have naval combat. You have this new resource introduced within the sea, which is known as the oil. They got oil.
Ah, yes.
Of course, they got oil.
The British Empire claims ownership
British
of your
Empire will
lands.
claim the oil. They got flying units. Warcraft 2 got flying units.
Just your oil.
Warcraft 1 did not have flying units. So you update it into 3 dimensions there to play with. You had air, you had ground, you had water. You had to control oil fields. There were some researches I believe the town center also cost oil. So you needed to get oil. It was not like, okay, I'm not gonna go for oil and everything is just gonna be fine. It's not an optional resource. Some of the researches, building a blacksmith required oil, and you had to put down the shipyard. You had to basically get your ships. You had to make your you had basically about 3 or 4. No, wait a second. You had actually a good number of ships in Warcraft 2. You had the first builder ship, the worker ship, of course.
Worker ship, transport ship, regular fighter, and the battle cruiser. Yes.
The Juggernaut.
Something.
And the submarine.
May I just say something?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, so conquest for oil and a lot of ships. Sounds very similar to me.
Okay, yeah, that's
Sounds
Oh,
like
yes.
a perfect game.
perfect
for
game for the
British
British
man.
Empire.
Perfect.
And US men later on.
So that's
Ah,
where
yes.
Warcraft 2 had stuff going in. The gold mine,
And
the trees, everything remained to be same. An early build of it kind of mentioned that there was going to be a 4th resource known as ore, which got
did they add heroes? Were there heroes in Warcraft 1?
There were heroes, but they weren't like
They were just basically.
Yeah, I know, they were
reskinned
just powerful
unit.
units, but did they do
Yes.
that in Warcraft 1 too?
well.
Not in Warcraft 1.
Warcraft 1 did
So in
have
Warcraft 2, their definition of heroes were powerful units, so they started to like merge in
They're not even more powerful version, they're just reskinned. Except maybe Cho'Gall, he was a bit unique, he has the unique ability, but his stats are the same to regular Ogre.
Actually,
just with
no,
the
yeah,
no,
unique-
like they tried
no.
to introduce
Same with
playable
Zul'jin.
lore
Zul'jin
characters.
was pretty much reskin
no.
troll.
No, wait a second. Most of the heroes in Warcraft 2 actually had more HP than the other units. And another thing going on over there, Warcraft 2 heroes could regenerate HP. All of the units in Warcraft, well, basically any of the units in Warcraft 2 could not regenerate HP. If you lost the HP...
But heroes could.
Yeah, heroes could. Of course, heroes were just a part of the campaign. They were not a part of the PvP, the
melee
skirmish.
game.
The melee. Yes, in melee.
Yes.
In melee. So that's how Warcraft 2 worked out. So Warcraft 2 introduced some new stuff in there as well. They introduced ogres, trolls, goblins in the orcs. I guess.
Are you guys gonna talk about how the lore evolved, or just specifically
well, there
gameplay?
was-
Specifically, game lore is minor.
I mean, lore.
Like there's. Okay, finish.
I mean, there's a lot of potential, especially for Warcraft 1 and 2, that don't necessarily bring a lot of substance in terms of gameplay. You can talk about the lore a bit.
No. Actually, they don't bring substance as far as lore is concerned. They bring substance as far as gameplay is concerned. Because back in the days, this was completely new. And lore's telling was in an RTS was, well, I mean, it wasn't really something that they may have thought about.
Briefing, you would listen a pre-recorded text as the text scrolls about the situation you're in. It's not like, here's your base and go kill. It's like, oh, we're attacking this village of that and that.
Yeah,
Defense
I mean, yeah.
store. Or we can advance onto Stormwind and that. There was a kind of story, but like a quote from a programmer, John Romero, as he said, lore in the game is like a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not important. Like, that was the gaming at the time.
Lore in both
I would
situations.
disagree with that.
Well, lore really wasn't a thing. I mean, you just had briefing, and most of the time you wouldn't even listen to that.
I actually don't agree with that, because the Warcraft 1 and 2 both have books, I think.
Yeah,
The story
I'm not
that
saying they don't have lore, but
It's
they
technically
didn't.
a novel,
They didn't
not a
do
book.
any job as
Yeah,
far
but
as storytelling
what
is concerned.
story?
They didn't. That's the thing. They didn't tell a story. They just had a
the
briefing
story-
Yeah,
screen.
they did tell a story though. There were
Yeah.
cinematics even then, like how
Yes.
Khadgar destroyed the Dark Portal.
Yeah,
so there were
but
story elements.
Yeah, but you didn't know who was Khadgar. That's the thing over there. You didn't have a
Well, he was
connection.
some wizard, as far as all of you were
Okay.
concerned about.
Let me level a bit
Can I-
with you. Okay.
can I-
Okay, asking first.
The lore for Warcraft 1 and 2 were actually only created after World of Warcraft. Like, they told like a small story. But
No.
the details of the lore itself-
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. Okay, let me
No,
just.
they
let
had
me-
like the story, but
No.
it wasn't.
Okay, let me.
What do
just-
you mean, no, Stormy? Let me just clarify this. You're saying Warcraft 1 and 2 literally had no story?
It did.
No, they did.
Yeah, then why are you telling Ozzy that no? What do you mean? You mean
He
they were
said that
created before WoW? Is that what you
It
mean?
was created before WoW. He's telling
No,
that it
the
wasn't
story
created
was
before
small.
WoW.
The details and the way it fits to the lore were only created after WoW.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know about that, but still.
Okay,
I mean,
now,
there were
And the
story elements. Whatever did exist, I mean, I just wanted to like give a small little spotlight to that.
Yeah, but it was small. It was like not a lot of lore.
okay.
Yeah, like Khadgar destroyed the Dark Portal. I don't know what else. That's
Okay.
pretty much the only thing I remember.
Okay. Now I'd like to take the stage over here and talk about that particular topic. So I just put down the briefing screen as in how it looked. So this is how a briefing screen on every single mission looked. You just had the
No
basic.
cutscenes.
Most of the missions did not have a cutscene. And okay, now let me get to the point where Storm Knight mentioned about Khadgar and him destroying the Dark Portal. So
I like that knife.
Okay. About as far as the knife is concerned, here's the thing. Back in those days, they didn't really do well. They, of course, probably didn't really have the whole idea of having to tell a story the way they did in Warcraft 3. While you played the game, you didn't know who Khadgar is and who these things are. These were just some briefings that stood up in front of you. Of course, the narrator was amazing, but of course, most of the audience were just too young to understand most of the stuff that he was moderating.
We always skip that anyway, even in Warcraft 3. Just cutscene, bah!
Well, I do watch all the cutscenes as far as Warcraft 3 is concerned, but the thing is, in Warcraft 3, you have a connection with the characters. Purge, you have a connection with Arthas. Damn it!
Ah, yes.
Damn it,
Where's
Uther.
where's my
I'm
throne?
in a relation.
When are you resigning? This is all over. I'm staging a coup.
So you have a connection with the heroes, you have a connection with the units, you have something going on over there, you have a cutscene, you have music playing around
Yeah,
it.
but I felt like you were a bit, I don't know. You didn't exactly put it how you should have, and a portion of what you said sounded more like you had issues with people not paying attention, other than if the game actually presented anything.
Really?
Well, it sort of sounded like that when you said they were too young to understand stuff. Like,
Well, I was too young.
no,
Well,
Stormy
I'd say...
Jr., you're
yeah,
too young to understand.
Yeah, I'd say that. I was too young back in the day.
Goodbye.
Well, I wouldn't really know what was the meaning of...
Yeah, but was there like a basic bare bones story, like you knew like this is who you are and this is what you're supposed to be doing?
The basic story was that orcs are bad, orcs are invading, kill the orcs. That was the basic story.
Daka.
That was all. And orcs were like, "Wah!"
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's it.
The superior Warhammer experience.
That was literally like all you could think about as far as playing Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 back in those days. As far as the lore is concerned, you didn't really get a lot of connection with this. The briefing and all. I mean, the narrator was amazing, but you didn't really have a lot of cinematics or anything going around it, so you wouldn't really understand what's going on. Like, you'd be like, it's basically like a non-Warcraft guy. A guy that never played any of the Warcraft games, including, World of Warcraft, sits down and watches the Warcraft movie. He's like, okay, who's Kargath? Okay, who's...
Never played any of the Warcraft games.
Yeah, what's the Warcraft movie?
Stormy, can I add something?
Sure.
I'm about to mention Reforged, but in a specifically positive way.
Okay.
So, are you aware of the Chronicles of Warcraft?
Yes.
Okay, so what am I going to ask is, are these guys basically, because they're doing voice acting and all that, they're trying to create a Warcraft 3 type proper story for Warcraft 3, for Warcraft 3.
They're not
Yeah, but what I wanted to say is, are these guys using the books as like extra lore material that wasn't available back then? At least at the time that the game's released.
Wait, there are books?
Probably, yes. I guess, because,
it's a novel.
Well, the thing is, okay, here's the thing. I mean, I would say probably, because I haven't exactly went to their website and exactly looked up whatever they are exactly doing, but I would assume that yes, they are kind of doing that, because most of, even if you look at all the other campaigns that kind of join into the Warcraft 3 lore, the custom campaigns, the custom modding stuff like Curse of the Forsaken, they tie up into the lore and they change a bit here and there as per their convenience and requirement to put it into an RTS perspective. But for the most part, I guess they're going to be following the lore over there. Well, I think that's what they said they're going to do. And they're not exactly remaking Warcraft 2. They're remaking the Warcraft 2 environment, but with the Warcraft 3 experience. As in, you'll have heroes.
Yeah, but the lore does exist. Otherwise, they aren't inventing new lore for Warcraft 2. So that lore comes from somewhere. I was just mainly interested that where is that lore coming from? Is it exactly coming from Warcraft 1 and 2, or is it extra material that was added by the novels, as Ozzy pointed out?
Surely extra materials, because, well, of course, Warcraft 2, I mean, it's just, Warcraft 1 and 2 is just briefings and a couple of cinematics, so it doesn't have in-game lines, as in, when the game starts and then the knight starts speaking, there should be a base over there, let's go and purge it. You don't have stuff like that in Warcraft 1 and 2. You have that stuff in StarCraft, in Warcraft 3. So that was an upgrade there. So yeah, you don't have that stuff going on in Warcraft 1 and 2. It was super, super basic as far as an RTS is concerned. And so people never really understood, well, at least that's my part. I never understood any part of the lore, or would exactly be too much interested to sit down and actually listen to the narrator and understand what's going on, because you didn't have visuals to, you know, show exactly what stuff is there. Even if you had a couple of grunts moving around and, you know, some banners popping up here and there, or some castle, some catapult, I mean, you would actually kinda get hooked into it, because that's what Warcraft 3 cinematics did. You had basically stuff moving around. As if you compare Warcraft 3 cinematics to the cinematics in StarCraft 2, those had a better connection to the audience. Like, you had a better connection to the Warcraft 3 cinematics when compared to the StarCraft 2 cinematic. Well, StarCraft 2 cinematics, of course, were like mostly like real life cinematics. You had the facial expressions and everything. So
But that's different technology.
yeah,
at
that's
the
a completely
time.
different thing there.
But
Your lore,
like,
video
I
games
don't. You're look, the way you talk, you're just losing me completely. I don't
Really?
get it. Yeah,
Oh, you just
like
wanna
seriously.
know
By the
about-
way, there's like two different things.
Okay.
You mentioned the cinematics that happen in between missions that are
No,
like rendered.
every
You mentioned those cinematics, and then you mentioned the in-game cutscenes. You mentioned both of them as cinematics. So like basically half of what you said was like hard to digest.
yeah, you don't have them. Okay, here's the thing. You don't have. You have like.
Use proper names.
Okay.
God.
Okay.
Aren't we diverging from the
Where's
topic?
my spear?
As far as the CGI cinematics are concerned, Warcraft 2 had one after every act. So if you completed Act 1, you'd get a cinematic like that. If you completed Act 2, you'd get a cinematic like
So we
that.
can. Do you remember those? We
I
can
just-
like.
I just
by the way, I
remember-
didn't necessarily want to like delve into the lore entirely in Warcraft 1 and 2. I just wanted to like mention them in a surface level as to what happened, and maybe if we can just glance over those 4 cinematics, we can just what happened, this, and this, and then the ending was that, and then we just move over to Warcraft 3.
Okay. Listen. Now let me just mention one of the cinematics. One of the cinematics, like, you don't have a story going on over there. Like, one of the cinematics is just a footman sneaking behind a grunt that's manning a catapult. He goes to the grunt, he kills the grunt, and then there's a zeppelin flying in front of him. And then as soon as the zeppelin comes within the range of the catapult, he cuts the rope of the catapult, and the catapult fires. The catapult fires down the zeppelin, and zeppelin goes down, and then he just raises his sword. So that's one of the cinematics there. So you don't.
By the way, I'm just gonna say something because this is a nice reference. They actually recreated that in the
cinematic.
ending.
Yes.
The ending, no, not cinematic. The ending credits of Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos.
Yeah, they did that, and it was lovely. It was lovely to have that. It was an
For
amazing
Stormy, everything is cinematics. Even the ending credits, they're cinematics. The in-game cutscenes, they're cinematics too.
thing. Okay, in-game cutscene is what I'm gonna refer to it.
Everything is cinematic.
I mean, look, here's the thing. We're just talking about Warcraft 1 and 2, so there is no in-game cutscene in Warcraft 1 and 2.
Yeah,
They're
there's
just
only
cinematics there.
like, yeah. So, what do you want to do now? Do you want to move to War 3?
No, we're not going to talk about War 3 at all. We're just going to talk about War 2 over here right now. So, these, yeah, okay, General O'Hara just pointed out. We're going off topic. Okay.
Wait, so you still want to talk about Warcraft 2?
Yeah, but I mean, this topic is only about how it upgraded from Warcraft 1 to Warcraft 2, how the whole sequel became, like, the upgraded
You told
features.
me the topic was about sequels in general.
Yeah, so we're gonna cover this first.
Liar.
That's the topic for today.
About one day.
You know, I couldn't really exactly get a single word we just spoke because you were just simultaneously speaking when I was speaking.
Everybody
Sorry.
speak at the
Yeah,
same time.
Okay, so like if anybody wants to speak, just say so and like.
Yay!
Speaking.
Okay, who wants to speak?
Probably me.
Okay, go ahead, Galato.
pointed in our topic.
Okay, go ahead.
Since, like he said before, Sigamgo, I don't know what to call
That's
him.
Knight.
but,
Just call him Knight the Caveman.
Knight. Okay, got it. So as Caveman said before, the topic was supposed to be sequels in general, not just about Warcraft 1 and 2. So I'm kind of
Stormy betrayed us.
disappointed.
More reason to stage a coup, everybody.
More
Get your
games.
spears and pitchforks.
Well, you do have to consider. I mean, I need to bring in a game that I played like 100%. I know every nook and corner
Yeah,
of it.
so everybody
So
else is 50% disqualified.
I mean, this is
I'm
the reason.
0%. I've never played these two games, nor will I ever play these two games.
You wouldn't play that, of course, but anyways, it's talking
I
about
would
how
actually.
they upgraded.
Can we, if we can talk? I don't want to, like you said, we don't have to talk about remasters, but if they remastered Warcraft 1 and 2 like Age of Empires Definitive Edition style, I would totally play them.
Now, I would not trust Blizzard to remaster another game. Or to
Okay,
make
okay, we're
I
off
would-
topic. Calm down, calm down. Calm down.
Where's my pitchfork?
Calm down.
Well, if you know, maybe as I don't necessarily agree that we should continue talking about Warcraft 2, but maybe if you want to like continue, you should mention Battle.net and all that stuff and
Yeah,
slowly
that's-
move out.
Yeah, we're kind of
Unnecessary.
getting there. We're kind of getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, we hung in with the cinematic and in-game cutscenes for some time. The lore for some
Hour
time.
to talk about Warcraft 1 and then don't even halfway through Warcraft 2. So if this was game sequels, considering we're gonna talk about at least some other game, this is gonna take 3 days to finish at this rate.
Well, that's the thing. This is going to be an expansive topic. We're going to be revisiting this topic a lot of times.
Well, there's-
Probably with other games as well.
Well, to be fair, then, if you want to do it that way, you should have kind of tried to, Okay, wait, look, you should have tried to create different categories for the sequels, and then every time we revisit the
Yeah, that's something that
and
we're
then
going to
every
talk.
time we revisit the
Yeah,
we
we're going to
revisit
talk.
the
Yeah, we're going to talk about it once we're done with this episode. I get your point. It's
No,
okay.
no, but this episode doesn't necessarily have a goal. So what I wanted to say,
It
we should
does.
talk about like one of the top. Well, it doesn't have a. Well, let me explain. Here's how I see it. So we can't just generally talk about sequels. I think we should talk about them in categories. So first, the overall topic is sequels, but then we talk about which aspect of the sequel did different games do right. So one of the categories should be like generally cinematics or generally gameplay or generally online activity and stuff or generally modding. And then we sort of say which game and which sequel of which game did one better than the other.
So yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get to.
I
Like,
believe we should make a category for the fundamentals, because these days a lot of sequels do not get the fundamentals right.
yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah,
that you can
and
talk
so
about.
so that way we're not forced to, like, when we're talking about like one game,
Looking at
we're
you,
not
Call of
forced to go
Duty.
through everything that game has. We can just glance over a part of it because we'll come back to that game on like a different topic, like on the topic of providing a good connection. So Warcraft 2 or even Warcraft 3 can have the Battle.net discussion right there,
Pretty
and then
much.
compare to other games,
And if we're
which
gonna
relied on
that-
GameSpy too much, and then they kind of died a lot, including a lot of RTS games, because they were heavily reliant on GameSpy.
Old school.
So if you wanna dedicate, like, let's say this stream we dedicate to Warcraft, like, there are some guys, not many, who haven't played any of these and they're just sitting here having nothing to say. And let's say next week is gonna be Warhammer 40k. I personally never played a Warhammer 40k game. I would just be sitting here doing nothing, or maybe not come at all. You should be
Abandoned
specific
story.
what we
Abandoned reason.
talking.
No, only war.
Yeah, I
Abandoned.
Hey, I played Vermintide and Total War Warhammer, but these are not 40k. So yeah.
Well,
But because this is taking way.
yeah, it's
Wait.
taking way too long because we kind of drifted away as far as
We should
the.
either do faster through the games and the topics.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
we
I
should-
kind of wanted to keep it on the topic, but we kind of drifted away a bit as far as the whole topic of the cinematics, in-game cutscenes, and lores were concerned. But coming back to the thing there, the upgrade from Warcraft 1 to Warcraft 2 is something that I would call as a good upgrade. Like, this is something that every game or every sequel needs to receive. This is how every company needs to think about while they're making a sequel. They need to take the core elements there, the fundamentals, and upgrade upon them. Not try to fix what's not broken there. Upgrade upon what you already have and make the game a better thing. So Warcraft 1, as we discussed earlier, only had 4 unit selection thing. You had to use the move commands from the command card or hit M or A whenever you wanted to move or attack with the unit. In Warcraft 2, that was not necessary. Right clicks were introduced. You had right clicks in Warcraft 2.
The ability to use mouse.
Yeah, no, you had. Yeah, you can't play an RTS without a mouse. You need the mouse to play Warcraft 1. So
The ability to use mouse, ability to use keyboard, I'd rather say. Because keys were added, control groups were added, and none of this existed in Warcraft.
yeah, control group. You could select 9 units at the same time. You had stats. You could look at the stats of all of your units. So that was kind of a thing that you can strategize around as compared to Warcraft 1, which did not really mention the stats, and you basically just had to trash in an entire unit to figure out what worked and what not. It was pretty similar to how Warcraft 1 was. Basically, the grunts were the footmen, reskinned. The troll berserkers were the rangers or the archers. The ogres were the knights, the catapults were the ballistas, and they basically had the same upgrades as well as far as most of them were concerned. A couple of them had some different upgrades here and there. A couple of them, now coming to the spellcasters, the mage and the death knight were the spellcasters for each respective race there. They had different spells, just like Warcraft 1. So Warcraft 2 improved upon the core elements of Warcraft 1, brought in convenience. You could select 9 units, you could right click, added in more features, the sea battles, the flying units, those were the addition to it. It added in those features, and as far as single player campaign was concerned and the whole topic that we kind of drifted away with, we had a lot of we have like a lot more cinematics in Warcraft 2 as compared to Warcraft 1. Like, you had about 4 acts per game, per campaign, and each of the acts had a cinematic at the end. So you had something going on over there. Okay, what is this? Knight just typed in something. Okay, we're gonna talk about that some other time. I mean, for the next episode of Capital Z.
Laughing my ass off, can't help it.
You had so yeah, this is how you need to make a sequel. Yeah, Warcraft 2 also added a new resources there in terms of oil. It added in a map editor. Yes, Warcraft 2 had a map editor that you could sit down and basically design your own map. That was one of the really early days of modding. I personally have spent a lot of time in the Warcraft 2 map editor as well. They had skirmishes, and apart from skirmishes, they also had a couple of custom made campaign style maps. They were pretty much mission specific, because you had to basically wipe out all of your enemies' buildings to get the victory condition. So they basically had like they placed units here and there, and made the map like an actual campaign map with units that you could rescue. The rescue mechanic was introduced in Warcraft 2. Yes, okay, that's another feature there.
I have to go.
You're going? Goodbye, Ghost King.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, goodbye. So yeah, Warcraft 2 also introduced the rescue mechanic. You had like neutral allies that could be rescued. You could go towards your once your units reached the neutral rescuable units, they would join your forces. That was a thing introduced in Warcraft 2. You had more number of players that could play in one map. In Warcraft 1, I believe you could only 2 players can play at the same time. In Warcraft 2, there were 8 players that could have played on the same map. But that was an upgrade there. So yeah, as far as sequels is concerned, Warcraft 2 passes the capital Z test of being a good sequel. That's it? Really?
We've started our own discussion in the...
Yes.
Wow. You guys could have TTS, by the way. Okay, what do we have here? Overarching topic, sequels, gameplay, story lore, online connectivity, integration, graphics. Yeah, of course, graphical upgrade. Warcraft 2 looked much more appealing when compared to Warcraft 1. Everything looked...
Well, it's hard to actually compare graphics. You can't really compare them because they were made at a different time where technology was different and all. You can't compare, let's say, Warcraft 1 with Warcraft 3. Like, oh, Warcraft 1 is shit because it didn't have good graphics. Well, at the time it was made, nothing better was made or discovered, so this was for the time better. So it's hard to compare graphics in these kind of games.
Yes.
And good graphics do not make a game better.
Of course, good graphics does not necessarily
Exactly.
make a game better, but they do make it appealing, and graphics are a part of the game. Like, they're just a thing that need to be there just to be able to attract the people in order to play it.
Let me give you an example from, for example, an outsider perspective. Okay, from the outside Warcraft perspective. So in the Total War, when Empire Total War first came along, everybody was thrilled. Yeah, we are getting a that Empire Total War was basically a huge boost in the graphics section of Total War, and that we are getting a new era. We are finally going from swords to rifles. And then when Empire Total War dropped, it was full of bugs. And the only thing good about it was the graphics, and the game eventually died. So yeah, graphics is not the thing that makes a game great.
Same
If
can
you
be
have
said.
if you have good graphics but the game is not playable, what is just watch a movie then.
Of course, that is the
Same
thing over there.
can be said for Dragon Age as well. For you who play Dragon Age Origins, you would probably remember the game. It's an amazing game.
Yes,
Comparing
Dragon Age
Dragon-
is one of the best.
Yeah, and comparing it, let's say, Dragon Age Inquisition, which has breathtaking graphics for the time it was made, in my opinion, game's complete shit. It's not fun. It's grind fest. Yes, it probably you would spend more hours playing that game if you are committed. But the game is less fun than Origins. I had much better experience in Origins than compared to Inquisition. Same can be said for, let's say, Mass Effect Andromeda, which was a glitch, bug, terrible game fest. But yeah, it had good graphics. So yeah, that makes a good game, right? Yes.
Same with the new Halo games. Like they don't just the current Halo games, they just look pretty, but they don't capture the feeling of the the old games.
Well, Halo's mostly Master Chief Collection now, and the only games that don't fall in Master Chief Collection are 5 and 6. And 6 isn't out yet, but is set to be free to play.
Isn't it Halo Infinite, not Halo 6?
Well, it's technically Halo. Well, yeah, I mean, it is Halo Infinite, but it is the 6th game with Master Chief.
Let's talk about a different game now.
Yeah, you guys can. Well, you guys can take the stage, I guess, one by one, and talk about some
Forgot
games that you want to
sliding
talk
now.
about.
Begin. Well, start with anything, then others can join in the conversation.
Okay, who wants to take the stage?
May I start with something? Like,
Or
so for many people, born in the 2000s, one of the first games they played was Call of Duty. Right. So, like, Call of Duty is like a prime example of how sequels should not be done. Like,
Yes.
after Call of
Yes.
Duty 4, especially. Like, if you compare Call of Duty World War II, which was just released, with any of the previous 3 games that were in, especially World at War, Call of Duty 5. Sure, the current one looks realistic. But the gameplay, the map design is absolutely shit.
Voice acting was.
Just linear map design. The earlier Call of Duties, it had several levels. Like, there were hidden passages and stuff. And now it's just linear. You walk in, there are like 3 rows basically, and the map is constructed around that.
Yes, you basically in the newer Call of Duties you had like missions like triggers. Like
Yeah.
there is an invisible rope that once you pass it, enemies no longer spawn. You have passed the section and you're moving to. So you can basically just run through the level on easy difficulty and speed run your way. You don't really have to shoot at anything. And most of the sound effects I personally didn't like. They were just probably
The newer ones or the older ones?
older ones were actually good. They actually had a real gun sound. Yes, they were a bit maybe loud, but that's an easy thing to fix. The newer sound effects in most of the games, most newer games, are basically equal to spitting sound. That's basically it. I mean,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
well, the older games
And we can't even get started on the,
or something to give it feeling.
we can't get started on the Black Ops thing.
Yes, like compare the Call of Duty 2, like 1
Yeah,
and
yeah.
2. You can hear screaming, enemy over there, Russians, fascists, Kommunistan, and all that. Grenade, move. There was constant fire.
Yeah. I
Yelling.
personally played, the
like
Call of
you are
Duty
in
2
war.
version, which was on PS2. It was totally different. It was called the Big Red one, only focused on the Americans. And it was so good, like, you could drive a tank. There was a tank mission in the campaign. There was a bloody bomber mission in which you basically acted as the crew of this very large fighter aircraft. And like, it was so unique. Every map was unique. There were unique weapons for every map. There were unique, skins. There were unique uniforms for every map. And nowadays it is just all the same. Everything, every nation just has one rifle, one submachine gun, one pistol. The rest you have to buy.
And
Honestly, I didn't really like the Black Ops series in general.
The
I mean,
Black Ops, yeah. So, go on. Go on.
I've always liked, as Gronky said, Call of Duty 2, because, yeah, of course, the sound effects, there was constant screaming, there was constant firing, and
you have the
all that
feeling
stuff.
like you're in a war. You are a soldier in a war.
It actually gives you a feeling that you're
Exactly.
And
Like,
just to cold-blooded,
the debris, the little pieces of stones and that is flying around. You get that effect that a grenade is blowing off right next to you.
Also, when we're talking about Call of Duty, you can see like the Modern Warfare series, like the 1, 2, and 3, the originals, are being like remastered.
The Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, or Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3?
They're probably they're probably one of the most like famous franchises everyone likes, and the new Modern Warfare is, in my opinion, more like a spin-off than anything else. Don't get me wrong, I like the gameplay. Don't get me wrong, like it's improved definitely, but I mean, like you don't get a feeling like it's actually Modern Warfare,
and you don't get a feeling that you are in a war, that you are a soldier, you are boots on the ground. You don't get that feeling.
The thing is with having Call of Duty, like the second part, it's a war. Yes, you need to have like that feeling that you're in a war. The next games are more like special ops, like more like that, and
that's the Modern Warfare as well. You're not really fighting the war on the front lines and pushing like in the older World War II based games. You're not like on a select few who has goal to infiltrate a base, gather intel.
But the thing is, like the campaign maps, the campaign design, it was very unique. It didn't feel linear at all. It felt unique in every point.
Yeah, the goal seems.
We weren't going in a single line.
Yes, you can take multiple routes, and you can choose the weapon you want. You can kill who you want. You can play stealth if you want. You can raise an alarm.
An enemy dropped a weapon, you can just pick it up, no problem. You don't need to cycle through 100 different types of ammunition.
Yes, it begin at point A and ends in point B, but the approach is however you want.
Yeah,
basically your choice.
And
the old ones, you had to go through a maze, a literal maze from point A to point B. But now it's just taking a small stroll from point A to point B.
So basically, like the Modern Warfare series, yes, you're mainly like a special ops player. I love how they changed certain, like in Modern Warfare 2 or 3, they changed the perspectives. Like it's not one player, it's like not one person. You change from, I don't know, Roach to Soap to.
So can I just add to that?
You even play as Price at one point.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? This actually happened, before in Call of Duty 3, which was PS2 exclusive, So in that we took control of let me remember. We took control of 4 different players, 4 different characters basically. An American, a Polish guy, a British guy, and a Canadian guy. So
pretty much
after each mission, each arc, there were mission arcs of 2 or 3 missions each, and we cycled through characters.
The new Call of Duty, like the Cold War, is everything except Cold War.
Exactly.
I mean, you've seen multiplayer of that. It looks like a Star Wars game more than
like it's everything except Cold War.
Spaceship towers and purple-blue glowing plants. You have laser guns and all that stuff. Like, if that's Cold War, I mean,
Call of Duty.
That's not Call of Duty at all. That's not how you make.
Speaking of Star Wars, they also have a history. The newer Battlefront and the old Battlefront, totally different.
Yeah, same with.
Wait, so Activision is still playing. I mean, it's an example of how games should not be like they're evolving just backwards. So it's like getting worse and worse. Like from I don't know, Black Ops 2, like it all like went downhill.
From the Black Ops series, when they tried to get too futuristic, it really started.
People remember
too much on the graphics.
People remember Call of Duty as just Call of Duty Black Ops, and just playing multiplayer on Xbox So they just remember it by that. Most of them don't even remember like the stories of
The old campaign
War
stories were the real thing.
Like
they were tales of a soldier who fought in war.
Yeah.
What could be more cooler than that?
They don't remember it by the actual story. They remember it just by playing multiplayer.
Yeah. So
like,
the thing is,
kind of
like earlier, multiplayer was the addition.
Yeah.
The selling point was the campaign. Now it's different. You get maybe like a short, shitty campaign, and the main thing is multiplayer.
Yeah, believe it or not, a lot of people just buy a new game and hit the multiplayer button as soon as they install it.
Yeah, just as soon as they get in, they just hit the multiplayer button. You're absolutely right.
Mommy, you wanna buy me this game, Call of Duty Black Ops? And yeah.
Also, Call of Duty is like, I don't know, it's
play with other people.
And that kid just grows up to be a toxic little fucker who just plays Call of Duty Black Ops and just trash stalks people on the mic.
And then you, as his old brother, come to him. Oh, look at this game! It's called Call of Duty 2. It's a much better game. Give this a go. Oh, this looks so shit. Graphics are shit. Oh,
that reminds me of a video.
World War II.
Yeah, that reminds me of a video I saw on. I believe you guys may know the.
Wait, I think you know what you. I think I know what you mean. Is it perhaps a guy just knifing people around on the multiplayer on Call of Duty, or am I wrong?
A knife was like unpopular opinion here, but the knife was the worst addition that happened to Call of Duty.
I wouldn't say worst.
It should have stuck to pistols, man.
Kind of pointless. I think it's just for the meme. Like in multiplayer, if you knife someone, they degrade like their what's it called?
They lose a weapon, basically. Weapon tier.
Yeah, they lose a weapon tier. Yeah.
That can make complete sense, I guess.
Well, yeah.
And the Call of Duty franchise is not the only one guilty of this. We haven't gone to Battlefield 5 yet.
So you were talking about it reminded you of a video, right?
Yeah, it reminded me of one video. So you guys may know about a channel known as Smooch. They basically made a lot of parody videos. So there was one video called If Video Games Were Real, which basically had a lot of clips going on. Weird clips around like a guy dressed up as Zelda walking around a neighborhood and just going whoa, and just wrecking things around. So a guy comes to him and he's like, "What are you doing, man? I'm looking for rupees," and continues to do that. So yeah, one of the clips was like there were two guys. It was a Call of Duty clip there. Clip as in two real guys that were in the video clip. Two guys were on a battlefield and they were kind of surrounded by a lot of enemy soldiers, and they were like talking to each other, and they're like, "Dude, I'm shot, I'm about to die," and stuff like that. And all of a sudden a kid pops up. Kid as in it's a big, in the visual it's a big guy, but where his lip syncs are done with a kid's voice who's shouting in the kid's voice, and then, "Take this, you mofos, you..." Which is super funny. Hold on, I think I'm gonna look up that clip for you guys.
Talking about Smosh, like they're not the same anymore.
Yeah, they're not the same anymore. Of course, they used to be something completely different.
That's my childhood right there. They just changed. I don't want to go off topic. Just a quick summary. So they were just two guys, having fun, making dumb videos. Then it overlapped into like a whole company trying to be funny, and they're just not funny at all. They're just forcing the jokes in the videos. So
yeah,
the main guy Anthony left, and it all went downhill even more. So yeah, that's just.
And it's just.
But again, let's not go off topic.
Guys. I am sending a little 15-second clip here. Okay. It's called Modern World War II Games. Just take a look at it.
Modern World War
15
II.
second,
Are
okay.
we gonna have lasers? I would assume yes.
Just take a look.
What the? What?
Yes.
What's this guy?
God damn it.
I'm glad you're not around to see this.
Perfectly accurate.
That is sadly true.
That guy in the end who was holding the picture, he was the protagonist from the old Medal of Honor days.
Lieutenant.
That is just sad.
Yeah.
Coming to this topic.
This describes the situation with Call of Duty pretty well.
Well, coming to the topic here, we just spoke about how Call of Duty is basically going downhill after Black Ops 2, you guys say?
Yes.
I'm not sure. But, well,
After five.
So yeah.
After World at War.
So here's the thing. I mean, they come up with a new Call of Duty game every single year or every year or two. Thing is, how many new ideas are you gonna come up with? And
Zero.
this is a really interesting topic to talk about as far as sequels are concerned. Like, you're just gonna keep repeating the formula as long as it works, as long as it's gonna milk you money. It's just gonna keep making, and that's exactly what they're doing. And till this day, they're still making money.
Earlier, the developers used to care about making a game. Now they care about making money.
Yeah, they don't care about actually making a game. They just care about making that damn money there. That's all that matters to them.
Right.
And I mean, if I had to put down one of the modern examples of how a company that did it well, I would actually point out towards Rocksteady and the Arkham series.
Yes.
It was a good formula. They executed it. They had they had 3 games. Of course, Origins was made by WB Montreal, but it is a part of the series.
Also, the GTA franchise.
Yeah,
They did it pretty well.
Yeah, you could say that, as in it worked. This formula worked. Just upgrade upon that and release a game. Sure thing.
Okay, so as an Arkham series player, I really like the Batman franchise, as in comics, fucking movies and stuff like that. As an Arkham player, I can say that the gameplay is like, it gets boring after some time because they didn't change as much. Story-wise is actually okay. It's like completely alright. I really like how they added, like, you get certain weapons after some time, but I think like the release dates and the timeline is just a bit wonky, because first you're like Batman with all the tools, then you're in Arkham Origins with just a bunch of like characters, like you don't even know about them or anything at all. Honestly,
I believe that is a problem.
Maybe Origins should have come first, like to introduce new players, or I don't know. Maybe
we can actually dedicate an entire video to talk about Arkham Origins and the Arkham series in general, but Arkham's Origins was of course made by WB Montreal, and in my personal opinion, it was like one of the perfect opportunities for the devs to introduce Batman as something that came in without anything. Like he was with all of his gadgets and everything. They could have easily, they could have easily taken it slowly and put in the gadgets one by one. Maybe perhaps made easier.
Tommy and guys, I have to call it a night. All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Okay. All right.
It was already on as well. Yeah, they could have easily done it in a way that they took it a bit slowly and had some more basic gadgets than all of the gadgets that he basically had in Arkham City and Arkham City, basically, because Arkham City is the game which it is based off on.
Wasn't it Arkham Asylum first?
Yeah, Arkham Asylum was the first one, but Arkham Origins was based on Arkham City, of course, because the combat style was the same. The city, the literal map was the same. The literal map was just
combat style in all the Arkham games are like the same.
Yeah, I mean, it is same, but Arkham the first one, the Arkham Asylum, actually has a combat. The combat style is a bit more stiff when compared to Arkham City and Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
So that was the first one, of course, and then they basically upgraded it in Arkham City, and then they kind of just upgraded it a little bit in the next two games, but they did upgrade it in Arkham Knight, I would say.
Arkham Knight is like a whole different level from the other games because you get so much, like, you actually get new features, like the what's it called?
Batmobile.
The Batmobile, yeah. You get Robin, you get Red Hood, like that's just. And actually, a new game is about to be released. Like, was it Arkham?
Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights, yeah, Gotham Knights. It's supposedly a multiplayer, like 2-player multiplayer,
Yes.
I think.
Absolutely what I ever wanted. And yeah,
that's probably gonna be like similar to Arkham Knight because from what I've seen, the gameplay is actually quite a bit different than the original one, and you have a variety of new characters coming into the game. So that maybe is gonna blow up. We also have Suicide Squad, a new game, which is probably gonna be multiplayer again.
Suicide Squad is by Rocksteady.
I don't like that one already.
Well, I mean, you only have
the movie was atrocious. Like it was just no. They're again making a new movie, but like a spin-off with the same characters.
If you guys want to watch a good suicide movie, I recommend Assault on Arkham.
Yes,
it's not a Batman movie. It's a Suicide Squad movie.
It's a Suicide Squad movie, but actual Suicide Squad, not the fucking new Harley Quinn bullshit. It's like it's well constructed. Because DC actually has really good animated movies, as where Marvel has no good movies, because I absolutely despise Marvel.
Sucks.
And Marvel just owns as far as the whole cinematic universe,
Yeah, because of course the aesthetic girls, 14-year-olds, are gonna be simping over fucking Thor and. They're probably gonna ship fucking Iron Man with Spider-Man. Don't make me
I would
start.
personally say that as a longtime DC fan, when I actually watched one of the Marvel movies, I said, yeah, that's how you make a good superhero movie. Because DC, well, after the Dark Knight series, Christopher Nolan's legendary Dark Knight series, the trilogy, they haven't made a single good DC movie, and I don't think
except Joker. Maybe I like the
Joker.
the
Joker's something completely different. Well, it's not really a superhero movie. It's something completely different.
Well, I mean, it's in the universe. That's for sure. But it's like a different perspective on Joker because in the main story, he falls into the toxins and just gets different, and this is just society taking over. But aside from that, let's not go off topic.
Of course, off topic.
The game. So the games like haven't changed as much, but it did get like a huge change in Arkham Knight. For example, God of War had the same approach because God of War 1, 2, and 3 are all based around Kratos and his vengeance for gods and stuff. So it's basically the gameplay is the same, just the graphics upgraded a bit much. And then the fourth one is just a completely different story. Like the graphics are much better. This story is so well constructed. The gameplay is so fun. It's undoubtedly probably my most favorite game, even though I haven't played it. Like it's really well constructed. It has like good characters, but they did make the what's it called the mythology, like the Norse mythology, a bit wonky because they twisted some roads out there, and some gods are not present and some gods are just different from the original stories, but they did the same for Greece, so
that's actually fine. I don't mind. Well, it's a creator's freedom. They can do with their IP and whatever they want. But what's important is that they stayed on point.
Mhm.
Compared to Marvel's Thor,
Oh no.
it's more of it's basically Star Wars edition of more Norse mythology.
Yes.
Like Asgard, which was supposed to be medieval with wooden walls, well, later upgraded to stone, is now basically a flying fortress with turrets and looks more like a Warhammer 40k and StarCraft mixture rather than a medieval Norse Viking mythology.
And
But
then
think
we
of
have
God of War. Let's not get to that. It's that
Yeah.
they overhauled the entire game.
Mhm.
For some old fans, like if this was, let's say, happened to World of Warcraft, people would get mad.
Yeah.
Any RTS game, people would get mad. But with God of War, the older God of Wars 1, 2, and 3, it felt more like Devil May Cry or what's my brain
Bloodborne,
stopped. Not Bloodborne.
Happened.
Prototype.
Oh,
It felt
Prototype,
more
yeah, yeah.
like you were playing Devil May Cry or Prototype game. You're just one guy slamming hordes of enemies from section to section and then fighting a boss. God of War 4 is completely different. You actually it's more of an RPG game instead of a hack and slash RPG
Oh
game.
yeah, you have that on point.
It's basically similar yet different genre entirely, and in a good way because people loved it. It's executed well, and not many games can get away with this.
Yeah.
If this happened to Age of Empires, that would never. That just. Well, we actually saw that Age of Empires Online was example. It didn't bite. It failed.
Yeah.
People don't want to play that. But God of War did it successfully. And all credits to that because it's a hard feat to accomplish. To
Santa
change
Monica-
the gameplay entirely and still not just keep the old audience, but attract a huge new audience.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
game is a massive success. They
No. Finish.
well, they obviously cared about what they were making, and they were not in it for the money, and they got rewarded, well rewarded.
And now they're making a new God of War, which I'm so hyped about. It's supposed to be released February, if I'm not mistaken. Except if COVID again gets, in the way. But Santa Monica Studios actually did a pretty well job, as you said. And they did it the smart way. Like, since the whole Greek mythology got destroyed by Kratos, and it's nothing left there, so you can't do anything pretty much. Instead of making a spin-off, which most companies would do, they would just start making remasters with different characters or spin-offs. They actually made a sequel to the game, which of course is story-wise pretty good, and they did it the smart way because technically, Kratos went to a whole nother mythology. He has a son now. He had a wife, which was a giant in their mythology. So he basically switched mythologies story-wise, and it just connected to the previous one, and that's well constructed. Not
They
many.
kept the soul of the game despite changing so much, and games, the previous God of War 3 and 4 is hardly to compare, if not for Kratos. But they kept the very soul of the game and what's it supposed to be. And even if they did tweak mythology, but the pieces do fit together.
Yeah,
It
they do.
Not just a random gibberish shitting content out of their arse like Blizzard does.
Also, the character development is amazing because you know how Kratos was all about vengeance and being angry and everything about it. He was just full of anger and he despised the gods. I mean, he still does probably, and he despised himself for being one because he killed his wife and kid, and now their ashes are onto him and stuff. But aside from that, character development from being an angry dude like Spartan, being bloodthirsty, to like a wise middle-aged man with a son, growing a full beard, still being bald, and just having an axe, just being, cool and chill, just going around teaching his son, teaching his son the new ways, like of actually being a god, even though he didn't know it about halfway into the game. But still, he wants to teach his son not to be like him or what he was. And it's pretty amazing to see that much of a development. Though I have a slight complaint that since Atreus found out he's a god, he instantly became so arrogant, and then after a while he was like, oh yeah, I'm back to normal now. Like, that's, if you're gonna do it, just make it a long-term thing. Like, it's not changeable so fast,
Well, been a nice talk, I guess, for the only two guys that are remaining on the stream for the time being. But yeah, I mean, yes, wasn't exactly on the point when I mentioned the topic, because when I mentioned the topic, I wanted to be a bit more specific, because we're gonna have sequels, I mean video game sequels, as a topic for more capital Z hours as well. Next time we'll also select a series, so we know what we're getting into, and the guys that are going to join in will have something to contribute, and if not, well, they'll just be there to listen, of course. Perhaps the format lacked a bit of how it needed to be presented, or maybe we drifted a lot outside the topic a bit here and there. We kind of drifted away as far as when we spoke about the lore, in my opinion.
It's bound to happen.
It's
Got back on track.
It's bound to happen though, because everybody was kind of over there. They were kind of talking about how things did work out.
Such a big topic.
It's a big topic, and I also wanted to give everybody an insight on what exactly, like, how my idea is to cover the entire thing. So whenever we have a topic next time, so everybody knows exactly how we're going to be covering it. So yeah, so they're going to be prepared about it. They would be able to help me out a bit. Can also put down videos, screenshots and stuff for the next time as well. I'll be putting that up on the stream, on the topic, of course. And yeah, so video game sequels, we'll probably select a series next time, as well. We technically did, well, I technically did select a series this time and spoke about it. I just didn't mention it in the title while inviting you guys, which is of course incomplete.
It works for time.
Sorry?
This kind of maneuver works every first time. The next time people ain't gonna bite the lore.
Next time people ain't gonna buy it, of course.
People just get debated sometimes.
Well,
Like most of the guys that left, and including us that stayed.
so yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. Of course, the only two guys left. Thank you. And apart from that, I also like to thank the other guys that were in, asking to British Empire, Bengalises, and Knight, the caveman. Was there anybody else?
I don't think so, actually.
I think there was somebody else. About one more guy. TL? No, TL never came in.
Bengalensis, there was Bengalensis, there was Galetto, there was Gabrielle.
It was King too.
Asking too. So yeah, for the next time we'll be selecting a topic as well, and probably we should have a discussion throughout the week as to what should be the next topic, so that we have something to talk about instead of.
We'll get to it. We'll
get to it instead of just me pinning down a topic that I want to talk about and just dictating it.
Well, I mean, everyone did that like the whole stream, so it's like if we had a script, that would be different. But now we just talked about like random shit, so it's not really it's everyone's fault for just going off topic and on topic again and just going separate ways.
Especially when you have a lot of people, it's hard.
Exactly. Yeah.
calm down the crowd and keep them on topic. So if you want to do this kind of stuff, it's the best, I think, to make an edited YouTube video. That would be the best way to explain everything you want.
That'll be the best way to. Anyways, that would be all for today's stream then, and I shall see you guys on the next episode of the Capital Z Hour next Sunday, same time. Don't you guys want to say goodbye?
Are we supposed to? Bye. Thanks for tuning in for this. It was a mess, and yes, it's gonna be better. We hope.
Well, it's definitely gonna be better next time. Well, cheers, lads.
Life still sucks, and we die.
Yeah, life still sucks, and then everybody dies.
And lives happily ever after.
Good night, everybody.